Welcome to the Planet Amazon podcast with Adam Schafer, where we explore the world of Amazon and other e-commerce marketplaces. Join us as we delve into the latest strategies and tactics for successful selling on the world's largest online marketplace.
Hello, I'm Adam Schafer, and welcome to Planet Amazon, where we talk about all things Amazon. And today, I wanted to bring on somebody that has like a tool, software that people use in the world of Amazon. And where I found this really cool item was at a local Emerge Americas conference here in Miami, Florida, which was a great conference to go to because it's got hundreds of technology startups and lots of investors that are trying to get them to the next level. And I found this great product and I fell in love with it. And I think it's got such great utility for both sellers and customers. So I really wanted to introduce the founder to you guys today and have him share this great product with you. I think it's a great resource. So with us today, who I met at Emerge Americas, which was a great show. If you guys are ever in Miami, they have it once a year and it's definitely worth going to. But I met Juha Mikola, and I'm trying to say it like a Finn, but I'm sure I'm butchering it. So Juha Mikola from Usko, and he'll explain it and he'll pronounce it a lot better than I am. But Juha, if you can, maybe just tell us a little bit about you, your background, because you're a serial entrepreneur. I know you've been involved in a whole bunch of cool startups. Give us a little background on you, and then let's talk about the product.
Awesome. No, thanks so much, Adam. It's great to be here on the podcast, and agree with you. Emerge Americas is an awesome place to be, and it was really fun to be there pitching what we're building with Usko, and you did really well with the names, by the way. You're
I am so
honorary
sorry,
Finn now, so well done. But yeah, Emerge, actually, it's funny you started off with that because it's the first tech conference here in Miami, and it started in 2014. And mentioned that I've been involved with projects in the past. At the first ever Emerge Americas, a day before I launched my previous business, which was called WinCode Academy. And that was the first coding school here in Florida, the first one in the Southeast. What we did was teach people computer programming, and it was a really great adventure. And now super excited to have been back at Emerge with the next thing, which obviously is what we're talking about today. So
I wish I knew you then, because my 10-year-old does a coding online class, and
nice.
It would have been great. I'm sorry I went to the competition, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We were focused on adults, so it's fine.
Okay.
But
I feel much better.
Yeah, totally. But I think the really exciting thing is to get a chance to meet you and talk with Amazon sellers and brands about what we're building now. So one of the biggest things that we want to do is allow sellers and brands to connect directly with their customers. That's what we're building with Usko, and it's something that we really believe. And what we're doing is taking a different approach, I think, from what's out there right now. And I'm not an Amazon seller. I'm not an Amazon brand. So I'm coming with this with a fresh perspective. And really what our vision is and what we're trying to do is give people data ownership and the ability to make money from their data. And what we started thinking when we were launching this was, what's a good place to start? What's a piece of data that we all have, and some of us probably more than others, and has a lot of value? And it's our Amazon shopping history. A lot of us are doing a lot of shopping, in some cases, the majority. Some people I met do all of their shopping on Amazon. And if you're in that, over $700 billion spent on the platform every year, I found personally as a consumer, it was pretty hard to know what I was spending my money on. I didn't really know category wise if I was hitting our budgets. How was I doing in terms of was I buying the right product, or, was I buying something that's gone up a lot in price since I last started buying it? So started as a tool for me. And what this does is it gives consumers the ability to understand and analyze their spending. So go by category or see how much inflation has hit your favorite product. And then the really cool part is that sellers and brands can actually message you. And if they message you, you're the one who's getting the benefit of that. So if they're paying $1 to send a message, as a consumer, I would get 80 cents of that. So we're trying to do a lot of things here. One is give sellers and brands this ability to communicate directly, but also give consumers the ability to monetize their data, because at the end of the day, big tech is making a lot of money off of our data, and we're not getting any cut of that. So we're trying to solve that problem and give consumers some of that power back.
I mean, the minute I saw it, I go, my God, this is what sellers need. This is what brands need. But it was definitely very cool for consumers to want to learn about what they're spending. And so let me make sure I explain this and try and unpack this a little bit. If you're a consumer and you're buying on Amazon, you can go and try and look at what you purchased in the past, and they make it quite easy for the last maybe month or two, maybe it's 3 months, and then they start to archive a lot of your buying history. It's there, but you got to go search for it, and it's not very easy to navigate. It doesn't organize it in categories. It doesn't help you understand enough about your repeat purchases. You got to really scroll down, and it's order by order by order by order, and so you really know what you spend only when you do a lot of painstaking work. And with Usko, you basically put it on your phone, and within minutes, you know what you spent on Amazon for the period of time you've been buying on Amazon. And I believe it breaks it down by time period. So you really can understand where the money is going. And if you're in my house, everybody seems to be buying on Amazon. I have no handle on how much we're spending. And is this the biggest problem in the world? No, but you definitely kind of want to know where that money's going, especially during tougher times. Many people are buying things on credit cards, so the interest rates are really high, and so you really want to understand what you're buying on Amazon. You also want to see how important you are to Amazon too, and you'll find that many buyers, maybe when they first started buying on Amazon, they were buying very little, but now they're spending hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on Amazon in a year, and companies are spending even much more. So it's a cool app for that. But now understand that if you're a seller on Amazon or a brand, you have to go through the Amazon machine to be able to message the customers. And with Usko, you could message these customers directly. So as long as the end user is letting you use their data, which they agree to when they use the app, if they let you use the data, you can now message these customers and let them know about cool things about your brand, the next new product, whatever it is that you want to try and remarket to them. And so maybe, am I butchering it too much, or is that close?
No, that's really good. I mean, that's really the vision. And the idea there is that, you might be a person who buys the same brand over and over again, really, really loves it, but that Amazon seller has no idea who you are. It's just another purchaser that basically they're spending more and more money on ads, trying to reach more customers, maybe the same customer over and over again. And this gives you that ability to create that relationship and actually send a message directly. And the great thing is the consumer's opting in for this. So they're expecting these messages. They actually want to read them. They're getting some benefit from reading the messages. It can be some payment. It can be a special offer. It could be anything that you can imagine that you want to send over to them. So it really is a win-win, I feel like, for both sides. And the way that I've thought about this is from the consumer perspective is like our data is actually powering the internet. It's super valuable, but it's being siloed in all of these big tech companies, and each one of them is like holding on to one piece of it. And if you as a consumer decide, look, I want to go take my Amazon data out of there, you're allowed to. Legally, you're allowed to do that. And you can do what you want with it. And if you want to make it possible for brands that you love or brands that you don't even know you love that match your purchase history to reach out to you, I think that's a great use of that data. And we can talk a bit about privacy and security more a bit later, but we've really taken that into account too with how we built the product.
Yeah, and I think maybe you should touch on that, because when I first saw you and I saw people kind of queuing up at your area there at the Emerge, and they were actually downloading the app, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I hate putting stuff on my phone. What's it gonna do? What kind of virus of the day am I gonna get? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm watching everybody do it, and I think when you understand your product, you realize it's incredibly safe. I mean, it's incredibly built to provide privacy for any end user that puts it on their phone. So maybe you could talk about that a little bit more, and get people comfortable with the idea.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, today the standard is that you give your data away to whatever app you use, and in exchange, you're maybe getting a free product or a free app. And unfortunately, when the internet started, people kind of made this deal, and it's just kept going. Where you're kind of giving up this right to what should be yours, and really should be treated in a totally different way. So we think that that's where the future is going. We think that's how the future of the internet's going to look. So we focused a lot on privacy when we launched. And currently, the way the app works is that when you do load your Amazon purchase history, it's not coming onto our servers at all. It doesn't go onto the cloud anywhere. It's actually stored on the hard drive of your phone. So might feel like a very old school way of doing it, but it's actually the most secure way of doing it. You're the only one who has that data. And as a consumer, I think that's pretty amazing, because this data is truly yours, and it's not being monetized without your involvement. And I think also when you're talking about purchase history, it's kind of nice to know like no one's creeping on what you buy. It's really the information is there and it's yours. And the way that we then match up these messages that brands can send is we can put a message out to our entire universe of users and say like, hey, is there anyone out there that bought a specific type of product? It could be a protein powder in the last 3 months, and we need to make sure they bought it 6 times because that means that they're a good target customer for the brand that I'm hypothetically working with. It would just survey all of the phones, and the phones would anonymously say, look, I match that criteria. It would say nothing else about that person. The message would be sent, and if the person reads that, they would get their compensation. So it's a very private and secure way to do it. What's interesting is because we don't see the data, we don't have like aggregate data to be like, oh, this is how much people have already connected to the platform. But we're just looking at some estimates. We probably have about $25 million of Amazon spend already on the platform, which is really cool. And we're just getting started. And you talk about the trade show when people are lining up. The only way we knew, we were doing this leaderboard where we would rank people based on how much they spent on Amazon.
I'd be embarrassed. I don't want everybody to know.
Just a fun, cheeky way to do it. And, we didn't put your real name on the board. We don't know who you are unless you show us the number because it's not on our servers. The top person was $486,000 over the last 3 years. So pretty crazy, the stuff you find out.
My wife would kill me if she knew. So I'm going to keep the app away from her, but I am going to use the app.
Nice.
So now let's talk about why, outside of just knowing how much you've spent and being able to better budget and be careful on what your spend is, or maybe spend more. But why is it cool? I know you're still trying to figure out exactly how much things are worth and how much to give, but the goal is ultimately the more you spend on Amazon, the more they make on Amazon. So maybe you talk about that, even though it's not 1,000% gelled out yet.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what we did is when you load the app, you'll see as one of the first screens that it'll show you once you load up your spending is your Amazon net worth. And the way that we did that calculation was how much does Amazon make off of your data just on their ads business? And some sellers probably know this, but Amazon's ads business is over $30 billion a year. And, they started it 3-4 years ago, and it's like a massive chunk of their business already. So every dollar, I forget the exact number right now, but every dollar you spend on Amazon, they're monetizing 5 to 10 cents of that dollar just again on ads. So they're making money when you buy this, and then now they're making money on selling you further ads. So that net worth piece at a minimum is what belongs to you, but if you think about the data and how valuable it is to the brands that sell to you directly, Amazon's not really monetizing that piece right now because they don't want you to communicate directly with your customers. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there for brands, and I think for individuals to actually get some cash back, and feel better about the purchases that they're making. And you mentioned we're kind of at the early innings. So right now we're testing with brands and sellers. And if there's anybody watching this who wants to test it with us, we're actually doing it completely free, just getting feedback from customers. But we've had some great early success, about 30% open rates on the messages that we're sending and 20% click-throughs. And that's without compensating users yet. So they're just earning credits on our system, which you can't yet convert. Very soon you can convert it to something, but it just shows that there's an interest with individuals who download this to see oh, who's targeting me? What is something that's relevant for me to learn and read about? And who are the brands that care about making a relationship with me?
But think about it. I mean, we grew up on the internet with Ebates and which I think became Rakuten, or maybe not, but it's Rakuten now. And basically, so many people go through those sites so they can get dollars off their purchases. Ultimately, there really is no Amazon dollars off program, and this really could become and should become the Amazon dollars off. So when I buy something from Amazon, I might get a $5 or $10 or $20 gift card or points in my system, so I can go back and buy again. It's like real currency. So I could see end users really wanting to use this, and I could see them wanting to get more and more messaging because they get to earn more and more dollars. And so this is a real help for sellers that really struggle to get through to their customers that have purchased their products before. You could advertise to Amazon, and you can advertise through Google, You could do remarketing, but you're not getting all that data through Amazon to be able to do the remarketing. Amazon could do it. Now you could do the remarketing and the messaging to your customers. Now, the big controversy in my mind always is, will Amazon be upset about this? Because everybody's always scared about Amazon. And I try to think through this thing. I'm like, well, the end user is using their own data and they're asking for information. So I don't know, Yuho, what do you think? I mean, I always think about Amazon wanting to kill me.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong. Amazon has a reputation that they've earned over many, many years, but the way that you phrased it there is absolutely correct. Like the items you purchase as an individual, like Adam, the individual, you own your purchase history, right? Like by law, you're allowed to go take that purchase history from Amazon and download a copy for yourself. It's not made super easy. And like you were saying, if you want to figure out even your lifetime spending or annual spending, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, but our app will do that for you. And once you do that, it's your data. And we really believe you can do whatever you want with that data because again, it belongs to you. So I think any other way that you look at it is definitely challenging. The things that we are doing though is like we want to help Amazon sellers, and we realize Amazon is the place where the companies make a living, right? So when we do promote offers or promote items or provide incentives like gift cards and things, all of these things point back to Amazon. We've really felt
that's how I felt.
Important. Yeah.
Ultimately, Amazon is the beneficiary of everything
Correct.
you're doing.
Yeah.
So time will tell, but I think that this is a huge benefit for Amazon and Amazon sellers without actually being able to touch customer data. Customers are touching their own data and advertisers are getting to promote to them. So I just think it's a great combination. That's why I really dig it. I mean, I really think that this could be something huge. So you're at it's early days, you're at the eMerge show, you've been to a few other shows. What's the story with regard to you building your company, and what's the plan? Are you getting investment from VCs or angels? How's it working?
Yeah, so I mean, we are a venture-backed company. So like before we started, I kind of mentioned at the top also, like our vision is to really allow consumers to own and control their data. So we're starting with Amazon data. I think this is the place where we can build a very successful platform and make it successful for our consumers and our sellers. But we see a vision where this can be all of your data. This could be all of your purchase history. You could plug in your credit cards, your receipts. Basically the vision would be, regardless of where a product is bought, as a brand or a seller, I could communicate with that customer directly. So if they bought it at retail or from my website or from Amazon, I'd know who they are and I'd be able to do something in terms of building loyalty and a relationship with that customer. And it could go beyond purchase data too. We have a vision where we can connect your social media to this. And imagine as a brand, if you could send a special offer to everybody who buys your product 6 times a month on Amazon, follows you on Twitter, and has liked at least 3 tweets, right? Like you could do this kind of stuff where it gets very, very interesting to really understand who that person is, because that person's opting in to share that as long as they're getting something in return. So I really believe that that's kind of the main thing to take away from where the personal data like landscape is going to go, is like it's got to be opt-in and it's got to be controlled by the consumer. I think that's what the future looks like. So we did raise a seed round for the company. Last summer, we announced we raised 1.8 million, and that's helped us kind of get to where we are today with the product. And the product is out. It's in the App Store and the Google Play Store. And as I mentioned, we're working with real brands and sellers right now to get feedback. And in the next 30 days, we want to start making it possible to start cashing out credits from the system. And then we really have all of these like main pillars working and operating. And what we'd love to do is get our user numbers and traction to continually grow, and then go out and get some more partners that can help us build this to be the platform. Like, love how you mentioned, Adam, in terms of like what this could be, and where we can take this. And it's going to take the right partnerships and the right people, and definitely appreciate your guys' interest and support for what we're building as well. It's been really, really great to get that feedback.
What comes first, the user base or the sellers? The brands. I'll call them brands. That'd be nicer.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably both, but I think that's like the $1 million VC question that everybody said, hey, this is a marketplace, and they call it the cold start problem. It's like, which side of the marketplace do you build first? And I was like, we'll just build them both at the same time. It's going to be fine. And it's definitely, I know why VCs ask that question. It's hard to build both sides. And what we've realized is like our real customers, and that's why being on a podcast like this is so amazing, is it's the sellers. Like that's who we work for. We're doing this all for the consumer. I think that's very important, but at the end of the day, it's the sellers. And we found some really cool ways to work with sellers to build the user base as well, so that it's a relevant targeted user base for them. So right now, as of today, in about 10,000 products, we have insert cards that are driving people over to using the app. And the people who are getting these are customers of the brands that are working with us. So there's ways that we can sort of make sure that we can build that on a bigger scale. And we're testing anything we can to really do that. But I think the goal is have our seller partners who want to work with us, make sure that they're happy. We have really great early results and build from there. And, if we go completely untargeted, like we probably need millions of users before this really makes sense. But if we can have the users that certain sellers want and want to reach, we can do it at smaller numbers as well and kind of grow gradually. So that's our current vision of how we're doing that. And when we talk to sellers, I mean, the biggest challenge is really, how do I communicate with my customers? How do I build a brand without doing that? And every seller has a different thing they're asking for. It's like, what should the next product I launch be? Like, do people like this product? Like what else is in their cart when they buy my thing? Are they buying it often, or is this all different customers buying it every time? And I think it's very hard to build a business without knowing those things. And hopefully what we can do is just help sellers become more efficient and understand their customers better with what we're building.
So I get it. So your focus is really, let me get the brands or the sellers in place. I actually think that the app could be viral and go viral, because once everybody buys on Amazon, and once they realize they could get dollars off future purchases, once that gets all figured out, I mean, eBay took off. I mean, all these websites that give you dollars back when you shop at your favorite places, well, everybody's favorite place is Amazon, and why wouldn't you? So I absolutely think it could go viral. The thing is, you want to get the big spenders, which will be important to the brands. And so, sure, you want the top of the pyramid, but I do think somehow if you get this out there, and people understand that it exists and they could get dollars back, you could get millions over time. And maybe I don't even think I'm embellishing. I mean, I really do think millions of people would want this. There's I don't know, 130 million Prime users. I don't know the exact number, but some big ass number. And if you can get a percentage of that, it'd be huge.
Totally.
So,
No, I appreciate that. And that's definitely our goal, and it's funny that you mentioned big spenders too. Like we're actually a tool where it's your real verified purchase history, right? So sometimes we talk to brands and they're like, well, I don't want to pay something to send a message to someone who maybe just created an account and they're just looking for, 10 cents or $1 or whatever. With our system, you can actually verify that that person is someone who's bought your product 20 times, right? So it's really interesting from that way that you can do a lot more sort of targeting and verification of who you're sending these things to than you can with, let's say, a traditional, cashback program or some of these things that get customers to jump through a lot of hoops to earn something. But then you naturally just kind of get the person who is most desperate to get that deal rather than maybe the person you want to reach the most, who's the big spender of your brand, right? So I think we can help with that connection.
and then going back to what you're saying, of course, like you're building this for Amazon, but it's the $700 billion marketplace, so it's big. But and obviously you could do this for Amazon in any country as long as it's not prohibited. But so that's easy, plug and play. But you feel that this is something that it could be other purchases. You could put your credit card in. I mean, that I didn't realize, and I haven't talked with you about that. That is amazing. So it could be any purchase I ever made ultimately. And it's the same concept, the app.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we basically just started with Amazon because of the fact that it's such a big marketplace, and it's also for most consumers. It sounds like you have the exact same problem as I do, where it's like very difficult to budget. And if you try a budgeting tool, like they have no visibility to it. It's just Amazon on your credit card statement over and over again. It's like, did I buy clothes or food, or is that furniture? I'm really not sure, right? So I think we felt that there's a consumer value just from the analytics that we can provide them, which definitely we're seeing prove out as well. But yeah, in sort of a vision, let's say 2 to 3 years down the line, the brand itself could be like, I don't care where Adam bought this t-shirt from, right? You could have bought it from Target, could have bought it from Amazon, you could have bought it from a random retail store you walked into, but whatever you paid with or used will connect to the platform, and you're going to be able to show consumer loyalty. You could have an amazing loyalty program as a brand because it could go across everywhere. It doesn't matter where somebody shops for this thing. And you as a consumer want to do that because you could monetize all of that data, right? If you have 20 pieces of data connected, it's going to be a lot more valuable than just one piece. So I see that that's where we're going, but right now we're still very happy with like launching in the Amazon world. It's a big place, and I think there's a lot of things for us still to learn, but hopefully a lot of things we can help brands and sellers with.
Okay. And when it comes to Amazon sellers or brands, you have the 3P, which are the private label brands, or the brands that are selling directly on Amazon through their own stores or through third parties. And then there's the brands that sell to Amazon. The app is for anybody, for anybody that's buying any brand, or let's take it the other way around. Is it interesting for a brand that's selling 1P to Amazon, or is it really interesting for a 3P seller?
Well, I mean, I think the sellers that we've been talking to most are the ones that are not communicating directly with their customers, are not shipping directly to them, and don't really have any way to either cross-reference or work backwards to see who these people are, right? So I think that's where you're probably going to get most of the value. But we have right now even testing with us like brands that fall into like all of those categories, ones that are selling to Amazon, ones who are fulfilling by Amazon, ones who are shipping direct. So there's definitely, I think, use cases for all of them. I think primarily though, at the beginning, it's going to be the early adopter brands, the ones who like are what I love about Amazon sellers. And I think the whole environment is like, people are always looking for something. They're like, what can give me like a little bit of an edge? Like, where can I generate more traffic that's going to come to my listing? How am I going to be able to get more people to see what I'm doing? And those are the people we're looking for, is the ones who are like ready to go and try something new and are not afraid to learn with us, to be like, what's really the power of this? Where can we take it together?
Yeah. Okay. So it makes sense. So it doesn't matter how they transact, whether it's on their own store or through Amazon, they all get the benefit of this. And nobody really, Amazon owns the data, right? So like they get to see it. We see pieces of it. You can't directly email them. There's lots of, the terms of service you can't violate. So everybody's got to be super careful. And so I love that this is off Amazon, on people's phones. They're doing it themselves. But I try to think, who's the next great seller for you? And I guess there's about 2 million sellers on Amazon. So you got a pretty big market to chase. It's really cool.
Totally. Yeah. And awesome people in the business. Like, it's definitely been exciting for me personally, just to get to know the space better. And we try to talk to sellers every day and learn more, and I think the part that keeps coming up is like spending on ads is going up. And I think the efficiency of those ads is going down. And I think that's ultimately a problem that sellers are trying to figure out. And the way I see us is we're an alternative for brands who really want to be an early adopter and try something new. And I think with our approach, rather than just paying the ads platform, you can try to pay the person directly. And I think that's really cool. That's ultimately your customer or your future customer. It's the Amazon shopper. And if you can share in that benefit, then I think also the money that you're spending is going to be a lot more efficient, and aligned with the goals that you have as a brand and that consumer has as well as a customer.
I'm a believer, man. And that's why I've been talking to you so often, because we're trying to figure this out with you so we could benefit from it and also grow Usko. So I think there's huge utility. I think, people have to get used to the concept that people want to understand what's going on with their Amazon spend, but consumers are consumers. They want to save money. So I think that, you just have a great product that people are going to want to use. And I do think sellers will benefit. So we so want to work with you on this project. So thank you for letting us in. And I guess, if somebody wants to communicate with you, if they're a seller, they're a brand on Amazon, and they think this is pretty cool, how do they contact you to do a trial?
So, I mean, they can reach out to me directly. Our website is just usko.app, so usko.app, and you can download the app as a consumer there. So I always tell, sellers, like, check it out, because all of us as sellers and brands are also Amazon customers, most likely. So take a look at the consumer experience. It's probably going to give you some cool ideas. But yeah, reach out. Like I said, we're doing this free test. What we've been doing with Amazon brands and sellers right now is taking their best-selling product and using that as a message to send to customers rather. And that's where we've been getting these early great results. So would love to add anybody to the roster. And then as we grow, I think it's going to give those brands that first mover advantage, to be able to reach even more people. So would love that.
So Usko.app, you actually got that URL. That's great. I guess not many Finns are trying to build that URL in the US.
Yeah, there was a funny article, I think it was in New York Times, about how many startups are using Finnish names. So apparently it's kind of like a trendy thing.
I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
great.
it's like Finland's got a lot of short, catchy names that don't relate to English at all. So I keep running across brands like that are a completely Finnish name, but they started like, there's a chocolate company in New York. I'm like, oh, there must be Finns behind this. And I look into it and I'm like, no one, I'm like, oh, vitamin company in Vancouver. Nope, no Finns there. Like, it's just taking a dictionary and finding a name that works.
Yeah, so, it's the opposite with Polish, because the names are incredibly long and hard to pronounce. So
yeah.
Don't do that.
Vodka, I'll always remember. And my best friend growing up was Polish in Finland.
Yeah, so. You with the wheatgrass inside. I know that well.
Exactly. Classic.
Awesome. Wow, the Polish stuff. So, first of all, thank you for being on the podcast. Secondly, for everybody that's listening, this is a great way, if you're a seller, to be able to better communicate with your customers. If you're also a user, it's a great way to monetize your purchases. So I think, it's great for both sides of the equation. But if you want to know more about your customers, if you want to be able to communicate with your customers, you is building this great platform, and it would be a shame for you to miss this opportunity. So I do think you should communicate with them. Not here trying to sell it, but I'm really in love with it, and I think it's really an important tool for sellers to get an understanding of anyway, and then potentially use. So with that, any other last words for the audience today?
No, thanks so much, Adam. Love the passion and the excitement for this, and really hope to work with you guys as well on this. I mean, what you guys have built is really amazing. So, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. Look forward to connecting with sellers and brands after.
Great. Well, thanks again for being on the show, and I know we will stay close. That's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody.